Ken Kraetzer for Cam Vets Media here at WVOX 1460 in New Rochelle at Cam Vets Media. We cover cadets, midshipmen, the military, and veterans proudly since 2008. And my colleague Jack McGurk has a well-deserved vacation day today, so I'm going to be running the whole show today, which first time I've done in a while. But we have two great Americans that are going to call in. Both from the Navy. I just want to mention a little story out of West Point today. They found a time capsule from from the 1820s that was embedded in a monument, which they were doing maintenance on, and they announced that they're going to open up this time capsule, which is about 190 years old, as I read the story, next Monday, and so it's going to be interesting to see what is in this time capsule for 190 years ago at West Point, probably some memorabilia and souvenirs, so we'll see about that. Now, we have our first guest today, a good friend of ours from the Navy, Fleet Master Chief Raymond Kemp, a dedicated officer, and now with the American Battle Monument Commission, and also is the president of Kemp Solutions. Fleet Master Chief, how are you today?
I'm well, Ken. Pleasure to be with you. And I was listening to the weather there. It sounds like it's a great day in New Rochelle.
Yeah, it's not too hot, a little cloudy, but it's better. I know you're down in the Dallas area, and you've had some really horrendous heat this summer.
Yeah, well, we had a string of days, over 21 days, over 100 degrees. I'm not complaining because I'm well acclimated, but it's refreshing to know as I listen to the weather there that it's going to cool down here one day soon.
Very good, very good. Well, we've been wanting to catch up and hear a little bit about a very special trip that you undertook on behalf of our country overseas in just after Memorial Day. We saw you at the Memorial Day ceremonies at Battery Park, honoring those Americans who gave their lives in the Battle of the Atlantic. And first of all, just tell us about what that was like for you as being one of the speakers that night.
Yeah, it was a really, really good time. Great to visit New York, get reacquainted with an old shipmate of mine, the former Master Petty Officer of the Coast Guard, was also one of the speakers, and so I had a chance to go out on a brand new Coast Guard cutter, which is always a pleasure to see how they're doing, and talk to some of the sailors on board that ship, and then come and where you and I had a chance to rendezvous at Battery Park, and I really enjoyed Battery Park. It was held by the Park Service. It's just a class act, and to get reacquainted with Admiral Mustin, who is the head of the Naval Reserves. I believe he's also a resident in New York. And
yes.
It was a really, really good time. I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Beautiful evening. And then right after that, you took off for Europe to represent the United States and the American Battle Monument Commission, organization responsible for maintenance of the overseas American cemeteries. And you had a couple of stops on that trip. Tell us about it, if you would.
I did. Once I was done there at Battery Park, I hopped on a flight over to Paris, and I had the opportunity to visit the American Battle Monument Commission overseas office. Then from there, as you mentioned, I went on down for Memorial Day to Tunisia, North Africa, and had the opportunity to speak during that service. Visit, one of the special things about the American Battle Monument Commission at its inception was that it was set up in such a way that those who had fallen in battles overseas, we had the opportunity to bring families over to visit them, because we didn't have the technology, certainly not the speed of travel that we have now to bring folks back after being killed in a battle. And so what we did is we brought the families over to visit those sites. And every now and then, one of the special moments for us in these days is to have a next of kin come and visit a grave site. And I happened to have that opportunity there in Tunisia, visited with a great family. They had a really thorough visit, even had a chance to go down to the battlefields where he was actually a Navy SEAL. His uncle had been killed, and so great visit there. And then from there, turned and went. I spent a week over in London. Had a great time there. Then back to Paris for a very unusual opportunity, and that is to be there for the burial, or actually a recommittal, of a World War I soldier who had actually been buried. His remains were found in an unknown grave in a Parisian, or in a cemetery there in France. And they, identified the body. We did the DNA. We knew that, based on the things that were found with them, bullets, helmet, and such, that it was a World War I veteran. And so we had the opportunity to bury his remains there at Wazin American Cemetery, and that was just an amazing thing. I spent some time with James McConville, who's the chief staff of the Army, and several other folks who came over and paid respects during that ceremony. So it was a hopping trip. Came home, dropped a bag, and immediately went out to Los Angeles for the Juneteenth ceremony out there. So I was moving.
No, that's great. Great, you're able to represent our country at these events. We did a trip to the two American cemeteries managed by the American Battle Monument Commission in Italy, one being near Anzio at Nettuno, and one in a vineyard, actually, a beautiful place just south of Florence. And it was kind of an honor. My dad, who was a World War II Army veteran, fought with young Americans their way from Rome up to the Po Valley, and in 1945. And it's striking when you visit these cemeteries how meticulously well kept they are. We had a ceremony in Nettuno, and then one up in Florence, and it's just amazing how well kept the American Battle Monument Commission maintains these overseas cemeteries.
Well, I thank you for saying that, Ken, and I'll tell you that the key to success is having local folks in those towns. They are the ones that are part of the green team, those groundskeepers, and they know, exactly, the climates they're familiar with, and the particular grass, and then the trees and such that are there. Very, very well maintained. And because they're local, they take great pride in it as well. And so, thank you for bringing that up.
Also, when you go there, you find out that there are tablets to the missing for each region. And when we went there, we found the names of several natives of Pelham, New York, right close by to us, who had died in service in various battles in Italy and air flights. And a couple had gone to high school with my mother, and it was very meaningful to find their names on those tablets of the missing at those American Battle Monument Commission cemeteries.
And each of our cemeteries feature that, Ken. So, and there in Nettuno and Florence, I went there actually last year, and then even in the what we call the Punch Bowl out in Hawaii, there's a wall, of the missing that fought in those battles. And so, though there may not be a headstone for everyone, each of the folks who fought in that battle we at least have the name on those places, so
Absolutely.
that families can spend time there.
Very good. Now, I want to ask you, an officer you worked with was just named and assumed the responsibility of Chief of Navy Operations, Admiral Franchetta. Tell us a little bit about the first woman CNO of the Navy.
Yeah, so Lisa Franchetti, great warrior. She's a great American. She's a surface warrior, just like I am by profession. And we connected over in Naples, Italy. She was Third Fleet at the time, and we had a really good vibe together. She's very, very proficient and wise when it comes down to the surface warfare ways, which is what Sixth Fleet's responsibility was there. But she's had a very diverse career, and when I saw that she had been selected into that position, it was exciting because I know that she is a proficient warrior. And then came the, oh, she's my shipmate, I know her personally. Oh, by the way, she's the first woman to move into this capacity. You know, those things came very secondary. First thing to me is that you're the best and most qualified person, and that's who she is to me. So I'm very, very proud of her, happy for her and her family, and her selection to that position.
Yeah, I had a chance to meet Admiral Franchetti down at the Navy League conference in Washington this spring, and I mentioned to her that my aunt had been a U.S. Navy officer in World War II, and would be very proud that she's been able to attain this position as CNO of the Navy. Just have a minute, and we're going to have you stay on and chat with Rear Admiral Harold Robinson in the second segment. But what's your thought on the summit this past week between the U.S., Japan, and South Korea?
You know, I think it's really important, particularly with the activities going on in the South China Sea. The U.S. Navy in and of itself is an absolute force to deal with. And when you take our allies and put us together, we're even a bigger force. And so very important that we have those communications. And
that's Fleet Master Chief Ray Kemp, and he's going to stick around and chat in the second segment with Admiral Harold Robinson. This is Ken Kraetzer for CAMVETS Media here on WVOX 1460 in New Rochelle.